good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be, wherever you may be. I hope you're all having a fantastic time, and welcome on in to our first look at Age of Darkness Final Stand, a dark fantasy RTS created by the people over at Playside Studios and being published by Team 17. Team 17 were kind enough to give me a key so that I could have a look, jump into it, and show it off to all of you. So let's jump into it, shall we? Age of Darkness, of course, has all your classic RTS mechanics that you would want. Gathering resources, managing those said resources, building your army up, creating your defenses, and making sure that you're prepared for anything that the enemy can throw at you. There are, of course, things that Age of Darkness does differently. One of the most important things that you can see on the screen is the Veil. The Veil is something that happens during the Death Knight or the Horde events, if you want to compare it to other games, that really hinders your units. You can't use open fields to kite units around and thin hordes artificially, like you could in something like They Are Billions. If your units are to enter this Veil, their stats are reduced significantly. Their ability to fight, it drops, and it's basically a death sentence. Now, when there is a horde going on, and if you lose all of your buildings in the area that you're in, that Veil closes in and you have to suddenly retreat quite far back to your next setup, whatever you have, or else your army is not going to survive very much longer. I think one of the developers really does put it best. Fight in the light or pay the price. Speaking of light, that brings us on to our bringer of light, our wielder of the flame, Edwin, our current hero unit that we can pick at the beginning of the game. Now, we are only in early access with the game, but the developers are planning to add more heroes to really spice up that early mid-game and give you a hero that you really love to play with. But for now, let's jump into what Edwin can do and how he affects the game. Edwin has 3 abilities. Crack Fire, which lets him spew out a pillar of flame in front of him. Inflame, that allows his regular attacks to do damage over time. And Enlighten, which helps buff up all the other allies near him. The hero use, it really does just take me back to Warcraft 3, where you would take them out early game, capture points of interest to gain extra resources and gold, level them up in doing so, get them the extra abilities, and use those to really squash any early attack that's going to come your way before you get all your high-tech units that you'll use to fight any horde that comes your way. When it comes to high-tech, strong units, you're not the only one that has them. During the night, they can spawn elite monsters, which you can try and fight for extra resources should you feel bold enough. Do be warned though, during the night, all the monsters are stronger. If you're feeling bold, you can take them on, try to gain the extra loot to get you that power spike that you want early. But be warned, they pack a punch and they take a beating, so you're gonna have to approach these carefully, or you're gonna pay the price. There are a few little things in Age of Darkness that still need a little bit of touching up, but we are in early access for the game, so these things are most likely going to get looked at. The first thing is that when you're doing shift click for move commands, there isn't really any indicator that you shift clicked your units to make them move in a certain way, so that can be very confusing. I didn't even realize that shift click was a thing in the game until I zoomed in and was just messing around with it because it was just a thought that come to mind. The second thing I'd really like the developers to look at and implement is the ability to left click on an enemy unit, particularly these large siege units that have a lot of HP. It would just be a big help when they're surrounded by a swarm and you can't particularly make out their small HP bar because there's not too much difference, to allow you to effectively prioritize who's going to be attacking it and when, so that you don't commit too many resources to overkilling it and you can really deal with the rest of the horde the way you would want to. The last 2 things that I would like them to look at is the ability to maybe flatten the terrain, such as the trees and the mountains down, so you can effectively place walls and not leave any gaps. That would be really nice to see. And technically, there is an issue with audio that I've had where the sound suddenly becomes a lot louder. It's usually during the night, like any nighttime, not just the Horde, that the music gets a lot louder randomly in places and then goes back to the normal audio levels. It can really surprise you and kind of, burst the old eardrums, but I'm sure that they're looking into that, and I've had other reports of it too. All in all though, Age of Darkness, I've been having a really fun time with it on stream. This is a stream clip that's playing right now, so you can come and check that out at twitch.tv/AndySBG if you want to catch anything in the future. But yeah, the first session, very fun in whole. Surviving the later death knights becomes a challenge, but it's always a fun challenge. And I really just love how there's a viability of your units to become some kind of frontline. Like the Sentinels making room for my Ballista here so that they can really do work, even though our first wall has been breached. Dropping back, just making a little buffer and still giving them a chance. It feels a lot less snowbally than They Are Billions, for example, and that's something that I really like. There's that just enough difference in the gameplay that gets me really excited for the future. And with the roadmap that they have out for new units, new buildings, and even a multiplayer mode, I'll be looking forward to playing this game in the future for sure, and I hope that you guys will too. Thanks for checking out this video, and if you like the content, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and even like the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And don't forget to stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay thick. Catch you later. Bye.